There is nothing like a good old, nasty, muddy, ugly football game on Sunday Night Football. You think that'll happen? Let's talk about it right here on Cowboy Spit.
Here we go! Yeah, here we go! Wait, take
Cowboy Spit.
Throws back of the end zone. There's CeeDee Lamb.
What's going on, everybody? Cowboy C3 tomorrow night, 7:20 p.m. in the great state of Pittsburgh. Pennsylvania. State of Pittsburgh. In the great state of Pennsylvania, you got the Cowboys versus the Steelers. Steelers 4-1, coming off a loss last week to Indianapolis. Kind of fell apart at the end of the game. Secondary looked pretty bad. I don't think their secondary is going to have an opportunity to look very bad tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a minute. Versus 2-2 Cowboys. Sunday Night Football, another primetime game for the Cowboys, which, yeah. They get a lot of primetime games, man. They're very, very popular. I will say that this year for what? I don't really know. Not yet. Still got time to turn it around, though. Hopefully we can. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., right at kickoff, 70% chance of rain. And it looks to be thunderstorms. As the game progresses at 8 o'clock, it becomes a 90% chance of rain to include thunderstorms. And then by 9 o'clock, it drops down to 30%. So for the first 2 hours of the game, it's probably going to be pouring. They play on a natural surface, so it'll be muddy. It'll be nasty. It'll be a trenches football game. And, yeah, I don't know how the Cowboys will fare in a game like that. Injury report for the Steelers. Larry Ogunjobi, defensive tackle with a groin injury. He developed that in practice this week. He's questionable. Russell Wilson with the calf, limited practice again. He's questionable. He's going to be the number 3 quarterback, the emergency quarterback. Outside linebacker Jeremiah Moon, ankle injury. He's questionable. Running backs, Cordero Patterson, running back / wide receiver, but he's more of a running back these days. Cordero Patterson and Jaylen Warren are both out with a knee and ankle injuries. And outside linebacker Alex Highsmith, which that's a big one. He'll be out with a groin injury as well. Thought there was going to be some holes in the Steelers' offensive line. Both of their offensive linemen that were going to be out are cleared to play, so they'll be, semi-full strength on their offensive line. Stats for the Steelers: Justin Fields throwing at 70.6%, 830 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He keeps everything pretty short. Pickens, his leading wide receiver, George Pickens, has 20 catches for 284 yards, no touchdowns. Pratt Freiermuth has 17 catches for 156 yards and 1 touchdown. And Calvin Austin III has 10 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown. Fields, I think he got a bad rap in Chicago. They didn't really get him much help. They got him DJ Moore the last year he was there, and and they teamed out. They teamed up to be pretty good. They weren't terrible, right? But they clearly wanted to go another direction in Chicago. Justin Fields went to Pittsburgh, under the assumption that he was probably going to be the backup to Russell Wilson. That hasn't panned out the way that everybody thought it was going to pan out. I seriously think that Justin Fields won the starting job in training camp, and this is just kind of Mike Tomlin's way of gently letting the public just know that Russell Wilson is hurt, right? It's kind of a way to save face for Russ. You don't have to deal with the media storm that would be like, you got beat out by Justin Fields, really. But Justin Fields is not a bad quarterback. I mean, I think he got a bad rap in Chicago. I just think Russ is I don't know if Russ is he's definitely past his prime. I don't think he's over here. I think he could play quarterback in some places. I think he would be really good in Miami right now, but just not for Pittsburgh. I think Justin Fields just gives them a better chance to win football games. And, that's that. For rushing for Pittsburgh, Najee Harris, 228 yards. He's only averaging 3 yards a carry. He has no touchdowns. So he hasn't really run that well this year. Jaylen Warren was actually a starting running back. He went out with this knee injury, and Cordero Patterson had been running hard for the last couple of weeks. He messed up his ankle last week, and he's going to be out too. So it's Najee. It's Najee tomorrow. But he's a decent running back. He's going to give you some tough yards. Big guy, probably about 230 pounds. He's going to lean forward, and that could come in extremely handy tomorrow, given the case that it's going to be, or it has the potential to be, just a wet, nasty football game. Justin Fields is the second leading rusher at 145 yards and 3 touchdowns. Justin Fields, of course, is dangerous on design quarterback runs, and he's also dangerous when he breaks the pocket, breaks contain. We saw what happened last time the Cowboys faced a matchup like this in Baltimore. It won't be that type of game because I think when you played indoors, you played in Dallas. And they just turned into a track meet, and the Cowboys were not ready for a track meet. And then you got this big dude back there running sprints on you in Derrick Henry, and they weren't really prepared for that. Well, Najee Harris gives you that same type of feel. Justin Fields gives you that same type of feel as well. But it's going to be a wet football game. I really think it is. For the Cowboys, Dak leads the NFL with 1,072 yards passing, 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He leads the NFL in passing because they have no run game. Rico Dowdle is your leading rusher with 134 yards rushing and no touchdowns. And Zeke is your second leading rusher with 81 yards and a touchdown. Other rushing touchdown that the Cowboys have came from Dak Prescott. Receiving wise, CeeDee Lamb, 20 catches, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Tolbert is your second leading receiver, 13 catches for 160 yards and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson is your third leading receiver, 16 catches for 159 yards and no touchdowns. So now, injury report for the Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence is out with the Lens Frank. He is on injured reserve. Earlier today, the Cowboys placed Brandon Cooks on injured reserve with this infection in his knee. It's got to be something more serious than just, not your typical infection. I mean, if he had like a skin infection or if a cut got infected, they would clean that out and he'd probably be out a week, maybe 2. And then, just get it healed up, give him some antibiotics and everything would be cool and we'd be good. This infection put him on injured reserve, so it means he won't be back till week 9 against Philly. That's when his potential to come back is. I don't know if that's I don't really know what that means. We'll probably never find out, but I have a suspicion that it's probably some sort of staph infection. He got this procedure done in New York, so this had to be right after the game, and he developed this infection, came back to Dallas, got it cleaned out on Wednesday, on IR by Saturday. So Micah Parsons is doubtful with this high ankle sprain. Doubtful probably means out. New people on the injury report. Trayvon Diggs is questionable with a ankle injury. Zeke is questionable, and Kalen Carson are both questionable with shoulder injuries. Zeke's shoulder injury, not sure what that is. I think it's probably just limited practice for the week. This is the type of game where Zeke could be beneficial, if you would. I have some ideas about how the Cowboys can win this football game, and we'll talk about them in a minute. Kalen Carson, that injury, he suffered that injury against Baltimore, and he hasn't played, since. So hopefully he can get out there. But especially with a shoulder injury, playing defense in the type of game that has the potential to be, I'm not sure that he's going to go strictly because he's going to have to do a lot of tackling with your shoulders, and I'm not sure that he's in position right now to be able to do that. This is one of those games where we will see how the Cowboys fare. Notoriously, especially this season, haven't been good at stopping the run, especially against run-first football teams. You did a really bad job in New Orleans against New Orleans. You did a really bad job against Baltimore. You did a pretty good job last week against the Giants, and not even pretty good. You did extremely good. Pittsburgh kind of has this offensive line where they've been rotating people through, right? They haven't really established like a starting five in their offensive line, so they've been kind of rotating people in and out. And this is one of those games where your defensive line will be key. This is a Mozzie Smith, Osi Odigizur, Linval Joseph game. This is the type of game that you have to come into and you have to dominate your man in front of you in order to be successful in this game. You are going to have to stop the run. Carl Lawson, Marshawn Nealon on the ends. You're going to have to come down and contain Justin Fields. He is super duper dangerous, just like Lamar Jackson running the football. Lamar is electric, right? Fields is not as electric, but he's very, very good at just putting his head down and getting yards. He's very good at that. He becomes hard to tackle as games progress because he's a big guy. He's about 6'4", he's about 235, 240. He's a solid dude. And he becomes more and more difficult to tackle, and he's got speed. He's ultra athletic. He's got speed. He just doesn't mind putting his shoulder down and getting extra dirty yards. He doesn't mind that. He loves to throw the Freiermuth and he loves to throw the Pickens. Those are his two favorite targets. Calvin Austin is not a bad receiver. He's quick. He's electric. In a game like this, I don't know how much difference he would make, right? Because, he's a one cut and go guy, and it's not really going to be a lot of cutting, especially if the field is wet. It's just going to be catch the ball, get what you can get down. Not going to be a lot of deep passes in this game, especially, if it's wet. This doesn't bode well for the Cowboys. It does not, because the Cowboys running game, as we've discussed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, has been absolutely atrocious. It's been bad. Rico Dowdle is your number one running back. He would be a great number 2 on some team. He would be a great change of pace back to come in. But on this team, unfortunately, he's what we got. Not unfortunately for him, right? Because he's going to come in. He's going to give you some solid carries. He's not going to hit a home run. He's going to just get you 2, 3, maybe 4 yards of carry, and and that's just what he's going to do. Behind that, you're going to have Zeke. One good thing about Zeke in a game like this, he falls forward. Even if he only gets you a yard, maybe 2, he's going to fall forward. And every yard is going to count in a game like this. Every single yard. I don't think this is a Deuce Vaughn type of game. I could be, change my mind, prove me wrong. I just don't think that this is a Deuce Vaughn type of game. He's not going to be very effective in a game like this. Maybe if you go into passing downs in a situation where you have to pass, and hopefully that's not the case, maybe he can come out of the backfield and catch, a short pass, which, wet footballs are hard to throw. And Dak, I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago against New England when they played in the rain, he didn't look so well. He just didn't. I just don't think this will be one of those games where Dak has an opportunity to keep you in a football game. It's going to have to be your run game. And it's going to have to be, these short passes that the Cowboys have been throwing, but it's going to be a wet football, and it's going to be some throws that are off, and receivers are going to have wet footballs coming at them, and they're going to have to catch them. I don't know. One thing that is a positive about this game is that this is the kind of game that keeps TJ Watt neutralized. If you get into a regular game where you can run and throw the ball, and you get into a situation where you just have to throw the ball and they just turn TJ Watt loose. To me, he is the best defensive player in football. He is. And I'll explain why. It's super simple. I think the Steelers are like 0-7 or 0-8 when he doesn't play. It's not a quarterback like that. That's a defensive end. That's how much pressure he applies to to the opposing quarterback, and that's how much you have to game plan for him being there. This is the type of game where you can just run the ball at him, but you are going to have to establish some sort of running game. On defense, like, you're going to have to contain the run, which brings me to my keys to the game. My offensive keys to the game. Number one, establish a run. I think Zeke and I think even Hunter Lemke, this is the type of game that they will be good at. 70% chance of rain, up to 90 an hour after kickoff. This is the type of game where you can get them involved. Their offensive line is going to be a simple game. Block the man in front of you. Try to contain Patrick Queen as much as you can, even if you line up Lemke at fullback and just have to block for Dowdle and Zeke, right? Find Patrick Queen, get a hat on him, look for a crease, and get 3 or 4 yards of carry. That's the best that you can do. If one pops, it pops. That's great. Fantastic. Get 3 or 4 yards of carry, get up and do it again. Play action passes, something very short, something simple. Go right back to running the football. Double tight end, run the football, play the game that way. Don't try to throw the ball 50 times a game or you might get embarrassed. Number 2, even if you play this type of football game, some kind of way, you have to get CeeDee Lamb involved in the game. He is your most electric player. He's the guy that touches the ball the most in the passing game. He also is your player on your team that has the highest yards per carry average on the team. Give him some reverses. Give him something. Throw it off. You can use a reverse in this game as kind of like a counter play, but you have to motion. Cowboys are 30th in the NFL in running motions. They motion 11% of their plays. That is atrocious. I would run people in motion this whole game. Doesn't matter what you do. Send that tight end in motion. Send the wide receiver in motion. Run him a little speed, a little fake, run a reverse. Fake it to him on the jet sweep, and then come around and hand the ball off to the running back. Run Hunter Lemke up the middle on fullback dives. This is going to be an old school football game, especially if the weather is nasty. Now, if the weather's not nasty and you can throw the ball around, of course you're going to need to throw the ball around. But no matter what, you're going to have to establish a run and get CeeDee Lamb involved. And the number three key to victory for the Cowboys this week is you have to keep TJ Watt from being TJ Watt. You have to. Run right at him. Best way to do it. Run right at him. Make him play football. Make him play. Don't let him pin his ears back and come after Dak Prescott, because that's going to put your tackles under a whole lot of pressure. They've been playing good defensive ends, pretty good defensive ends all year, but this is different. This dude is different. The young corners, especially with Joey Porter. Joey Porter Jr. had a pretty decent game last week. They do a kind of weird thing with their secondary. Joey Porter right in your face in man-to-man coverage, he's good. He's very good. They'll kind of back off into this zone where he'll come and he'll kind of put his hand on the receiver and kind of pass him off to the linebacker, and it opens up little creases in the defense when they go in the zone. And they seem to go in the zone in between the 40 and the 40. Once they get inside, once they get outside the 40, and what they're doing is trying to go man, trying to blitz and try to keep you pinned down and try to change the field position of the game. Once you pass the 40 and you get over into their 40, they'll go into a zone, and that gives you opportunities. But once you get inside the 40, going in to score, they go back to a man, and they'll blitz you pretty good. And a lot of times they get home. They play very, very, very good defense. Up until last week, they didn't give up a lot of points. They just didn't. You're going to have some opportunities in the passing game, if possible, especially if Highsmith is out. And Alex Highsmith is already listed as out. So rotating linebackers in that position, that kind of gives you tight ends and stuff time, to maneuver around. You try to stay away from Minkah Fitzpatrick. throwing the ball. He's just they got some good safeties, man. They really do. It's all led up by Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's very, very good. I just don't think it'll get that deep. Not in this one. I think it's going to be a run first game. It's going to be, each quarterback may throw maybe 10, 12, 15 passes, maybe. Hopefully you don't get yourself down and you have to attempt to throw the ball. And if you have to attempt to throw the ball, it's just not gonna end well. No matter what team it is. For the defense, for the Cowboys, field position is the key. If you stop the run, which is my number 2, these kind of just feed into each other, my defensive keys to victory. If you stop the run and you contain Justin Fields, what you do is you make them go 3 and out, and you control the field position battle. I don't know. Like I said, I mentioned the game earlier. It's a couple years ago when the Cowboys played New England. And I think New England beat them 10-9. I believe so. I think the Cowboys got 3 field goals, and New England scored a touchdown and a field goal, and that's how they won the game. I believe that was a score. I can't really remember. But I just remember, like, man, y'all are getting field position to death. No matter what, New England was just running the football and punting. They didn't care about it. They were pinning them down inside the 20 every single drive, making the Cowboys go 80, 90 yards to drive, and they couldn't do it. The Cowboys were going 3 and out, and they were punting, and New England was getting the ball close to midfield, and they just kept playing this field position battle where the Cowboys could not break. They couldn't even break the 50-yard line. And when they did, New England would tighten up even more, and they'd have to kick a field goal. That's how you're going to have to do Pittsburgh tomorrow. We already established their offensive line is not very good. They're decent. They're okay. You have to stop the run. You have to contain Justin Fields. He is the X factor tomorrow. Najee Harris is not going to give you big 80-yard runs. He's going to give you 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's what he's going to give you. You need to cut that to 1. You need to get penetration just like you did last week against the Giants, and you need to stop this run game. That's the most important thing. And then when Justin Fields run these design quarterback runs, get to the football, put hat on the football, and bring him to the ground. Or you can do my third key to victory, create turnovers. Create some fumbles. You're going to get an opportunity. Wet footballs. You get the penetration that you need. Linebackers flying up, making tackles, putting the hat on the ball, create some turnovers. That's how you win this football game. It's not going to be a track meet. It's not going to be an opportunity tomorrow to win a track meet if the weatherman is right. Now, the weatherman has been wrong, right? This storm could blow over at 2:30 in the afternoon, and you come out tomorrow night at 7, and it's just perfectly dry. Then you got a whole nother set of problems. Then you got to really stop TJ Watt from being TJ Watt. But tomorrow, I just don't think you're going to have that problem. I think you need to run at him, and you need to control the run tomorrow, and you need to contain Justin Fields, and you need to find some type of way to create some turnovers. Strip the ball out when you go into the ground, everything. In offense, you're going to have to protect the football. You're going to have to run, get 2, 3, 4 yards of carry, and you're going to have to weigh on that defensive line. Run at TJ Watt, get him tired, make him start rotating in and out. Maybe try to hit a play action pass every now and then, and you can win this football game. With that being said, my prediction for the game tomorrow: Pittsburgh 14, Dallas 13. They have not showed that they can stop the run all year, except for once against the Giants. They sort of kind of showed it against Cleveland, but Cleveland didn't really have an opportunity to run the ball because they were behind so much. I hope that I'm wrong. I've predicted these games pretty good so far. I think I'm predicting them at 100%, not to toot my own horn, but this is the one where I hope I'm wrong. This is the one where I hope that they establish identity, they establish physicality, and they establish that they are a legitimate contender to be worried about just in the division. Don't even care about Super Bowls right now. We worried about 1 week at a time. We are a contender for this division. We are a solid football team. We're tough. Demarion Overshown had an interview, and he said that they took that soft comment about the defense. They took that personally. We'll show it tomorrow. Showed that you took it personally. This is the one time where I made a prediction where I'm like, man, please just Corey, be wrong. Be wrong. Just be wrong. And that's what I'm looking for. But to be realistic, the Cowboys have not played against the run well. They haven't handled mobile quarterbacks well, and they haven't handled stingy defenses well. They haven't. So 14-13 Pittsburgh. Damn, that hurt to say. Okay. Right after the game, we'll go live. And we'll talk about this Cowboy victory. Hopefully. Even though I'm telling you, I'm hoping my prediction is wrong. Talk about this Cowboy victory. Talk about how they established a run game. Talking about how they played tough. We'll talk about how they just showed they just wanted to win more. They showed a desire to win more than Pittsburgh did. That's what we're gonna talk about tomorrow. Speaking that into existence right now. Okay, that's what I got. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm looking forward to being on here talking to you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 7:20, Cowboys versus Steelers. Old school rivalry. Old school. We're going to renew it tomorrow night. All right. Tomorrow night, right after the game, we will see each and every one of you here to discuss this Cowboy victory, this Cowboy C3. I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Peace.